Our bodies view stress as a threat. And when we think about it from a reproductive standpoint, it makes sense that our bodies would not want to encourage ovulation and pregnancy if there is a threat present. So, chronic stress, which many people experience today, probably in part because of what I talked about last week, how we are trying so hard to operate on this 24-hour cycle. Wake up, push the limits, go, 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 put yourself at the bottom of your to-do list, repeat. This is really causing a lot of imbalances in our bodies. And it's also harming our reproductive system. So when we are in the second phase of our cycle, after ovulation and before menstruation, our cortisol levels as women on our 28-day cycle naturally become elevated. And this is to protect the fertilized egg if there is pregnancy. So, difference between men and women: men's cortisol peaks at the beginning of 24-hour day and declines by the end of the 24-hour day. But women's cortisol really peaks after ovulation and before menstruation, again, to protect that egg if it has been fertilized. So, a little bit of cortisol elevation is normal, but unfortunately today, our cortisol levels are extremely high. I have clients who I have take blood tests so we can see what's going on with their cortisol levels, because our adrenal glands are what produce cortisol. And if those are compromised, we're gonna have a lot of problems with our periods and with our hormones. So, believe it or not, lots of the cortisol levels for my clients are extremely high. And that is something that we have to get control of. Obviously, there's the unpleasantness of anxiety and stress, but not only that, I've talked before about how, it's a ripple effect. If one hormone is out of balance, then other hormones are going to be out of balance. When it comes to cortisol, if cortisol is chronically elevated, then that is going to mess with insulin, another hormone. And it's going to make insulin less sensitive and less effective at controlling our blood sugar levels. Now, this can trigger type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance, and it can also contribute to PCOS and other hormonal imbalances. So really understanding cortisol and how to get it under control and manage it is incredibly important. And one way to do that is to reduce caffeine. So if you are a woman and you are still operating on this 24-hour cycle, you're not honoring your body and you're not honoring those rhythms and needs of your body and trying to get through each day with copious amounts of caffeine. That caffeine is another stressor on your adrenals, causing that dysregulation of cortisol. And in fact, there was research that showed that 3 or more cups a day of coffee increase the risk of miscarriages by 74%. And that is huge. That is huge. And the reason for that is because when our cortisol levels are high, that results in progesterone levels being lower. And we really need progesterone to protect that fertilized egg and help it mature full term. So caffeine is a big one, and if you are experiencing anxiety and other PMS symptoms, then that's one that you really want to try to eliminate as soon as possible, because it's really stressing the adrenals, and when that cortisol is high, it's letting your body know that we should not be ovulating, because we cannot risk a pregnancy because there are threats present, right? And even though there aren't external threats like back in the day, like a bear or lack of food, there are our modern stressors: technology, toxic burden on our body, just our workload is too much, and we're never really taking time to rest and relax and rejuvenate, and we're not tuning into our body and listening to what it needs. So it does affect whether you can carry a baby to full term. Your cortisol levels affect that. High cortisol is affecting your blood sugars, which we know can contribute to PCOS and other hormonal symptoms. Can lower progesterone, which is a natural diuretic, and progesterone is really that calming hormone that helps to offset that natural increase in cortisol second half of the month. So yeah, these are big ones to pay attention to. And another one too is that stress really lowers your libido, because again, from a biological standpoint, we wouldn't want to have a sex drive if we don't feel that it's a safe environment to fertilize an egg and carry the fetus. So as a result, our libido is stifled. And when this stress is chronic, like it is for many people, then that means lower libido, for who knows how long, months, years, for some people, even decades. And we know how this can affect our self-esteem and our relationships. And orgasms actually have lots of benefits. They help cure migraines. And the ovulation process and menstruation process have a lot of benefits, helping to protect against heart disease and diabetes and dementia and even cancer. So by shutting down these processes and basically making our reproductive system go offline, we are missing out on a lot of the really important benefits of these natural, healthy hormones over the course of our 28-day cycle. So if you are feeling increasingly anxious, especially second half of your cycle, then chances are your cortisol is too high, your progesterone is too low, and take some time to reflect and to do some introspection, to focus on you, look inward. First half of the month, we have more estrogen, and that encourages us to help others, to look outward, to be social. But second half of the month, that is when the progesterone is up, and when we need more time for ourselves. Our body demands that rest and that replenishment from an evolutionary perspective to protect that egg and nourish the egg. And that's something that we need to be honoring, whether or not we are carrying a baby or we're not. We